fine Liberian platform you have. Make the best use of it. My name is Frank Adams, and I endorse this channel.
Well, I'd like to say welcome wherever you find yourself. This is Kmtv. This is Liberia's #1 online television. We are everywhere. That's why we are right here on this wonderful Sunday evening. It happens to be the last day of the month of July. July was a very wonderful month, the month of celebration of Liberia, 175th independence, the month of celebration of our adopted nation, the United States, as well. And it is campaign season across the U.S. And today we thought to bring you this virtual conversation or town hall with three of our Liberians contesting, people of Liberian descent contesting in various cities, precisely the Brooklyn Park City here in Minnesota, as well as Brooklyn Center. And we have three wonderful people. One of them is already a city mayor, Mayor Mike Elliott. He is the mayor of Brooklyn Center here in Minnesota. Councilman Winfred Russell. Michael Elliott, as a matter of fact, is running for re-election to the city of Brooklyn Center as mayor. Winfred Russell is one of the councilmen at the city council there here in Brooklyn Park. And he's also contesting the seat of mayor in Brooklyn Park. If he gets there, he's going to be the first African, I don't want to say black, let's put it that way, but first from our own race to be elected to that position. Also running for city council is one of our own young Liberian sisters. She's Kouguano, and the three of them will be joining us. Nathan Charles, welcome, my brother. He's also in the Twin Cities. We are here from different ends of the Twin Cities, but it's good to have you, all of you, watching this virtual town hall. I'd like to encourage you all to please share the link, invite others to join in, share into the various groups, the various links, networks, Liberian networks, African networks, various groups that people from Minnesota are in, so that they follow and listen to these candidates and what they have to offer the people from their various cities. Nathan, let's have you with your opening, and then we can bring on our brothers and sisters this evening.
Like Cyrus had it right. This is KMTV. We are everywhere, bringing you all of the information, education, entertainment that we can bring you. So this program, we will be discussing issues and encouraging Liberians, Africans to turn out and vote, because hey, election is right in the corner, and if you don't elect somebody who will seek your interest, then you are not going to benefit. So it is time that we talk to you, those who are contesting, tell you what they will do for you or what they have been doing, as mayor or want to become a mayor or sitting on that council. What issues are they going to champion and how are they going to do that? So this town hall discussion will bring these individuals together, and we're going to be discussing these issues. As you know, KMTV, we are everywhere. We're here to inform you, bring the news maker, bring the duty bearers to you to ask them questions. We'll also be reading your comments. So if you are following this discussion and you have some issues to address, questions for our participants, please send your comments below the link and we will read them out to you. Community leaders will also be joining this discussion, and we'll be asking and just having a real good time on this edition of KMTV. And it's been a long time, Cyrus, since we ever hit the airway. Your mic is mute, Cyrus.
It's actually been a long time. So let me take this time to welcome our guest, Mayor Michael Elliott. Mayor Elliott, can you please unmute your microphone and welcome to this town hall?
Yes. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. It's a pleasure to be here with you both this afternoon.
And also, Council Member Winfred Russell is from the city of Brooklyn Park. Mayor Elliott, like I said earlier, is from Brooklyn Center. He's the current mayor. And Winfred Russell is also joining us. Councilman Russell, if you can just unmute yourself, let's welcome you as well. I know he's out there on the field. If you're
Knocking
hearing us,
those.
Councilman Russell, you have to unmute yourself. So let's see whether he can get adjusted. But our sister Cole Guanaco, you have to please unmute yourself. Welcome as well.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
All right, so we will keep the ball rolling. Councilman Russell, if you're listening to us, you have to unmute yourself so that we get to hear you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
And I know we had to steer you away from a little bit of busy evening door knocking, reaching out to the voters in the city of Brooklyn Park, if I'm correct.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm on the field. I'm door knocking. I have some volunteers, so we are door knocking. So that's part of what we're doing.
All right, it's good to have you from wherever you find yourself. These are the people we are going to be talking to this evening as they campaign to not just Liberians, but people of their various cities here in Minnesota. Let's start up with you, Mayor Elliott. Firstly, we gave you the time to tell us who is Michael Elliott.
Yeah. So again, it's a real honor to be here. So I was born in Liberia. I grew up first in Swinton. So a lot of you know Swin Mission. Grew up in Monrovia in the Ghanaisville area as well. Came to the United States when I was 11 years old, and grew up in Brooklyn Park, in Brooklyn Center. My family, we were fortunate, one of the fortunate ones to be able to leave, flee the Civil War, and I grew up in Brooklyn Center. Graduated from Brooklyn Center High School, went to Hamlin University, got a degree in international management and a minor in political science. And I've been mayor now for 3.5 years. I was elected in 2018, and it's been my great honor to serve and continue to serve in this role. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, no, that's a brief intro of Mayor Elliott. Councilman Russell, you want to take on who is Winfred Russell?
Yes, hi. My name is Winfred Russell. I am a city council member representing the West District on the Brooklyn Park City Council. The first Black person to be elected to the Brooklyn Park City Council. I've been on the council now for 3.5 years. My term expires in December 31st. My term expires. Been very active in the community, building organizations, working with community folks, and also working with different groups back home in Liberia. I'm originally from Liberia, from an area called Cardwell, Upper Cardwell, but grew up in Nimba, so where I spent my formative years. I've been here in Brooklyn Park in the Twin Cities area for about 20 years. And during that time, I worked at the University of Minnesota where I taught for 6.5 years and had worked on many public health projects and initiatives. I currently coordinate statewide COVID-19 work for the state of Minnesota. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm just running for mayor of Brooklyn Park, and I'm hoping to get the support of all my community folks and others here to support me as we move through this process. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Russell, let's now welcome our sister, the only female here this evening. Cole, welcome. Let's hear you. Who is Cole Guana?
Yeah, so I'm a first generation immigrant. I was born in Liberia. Most people, when they see and hear my name right away, they ask, oh, do you know Dr. Joseph Seguanu? And I always, reply with a smile and I say, that's my father. So a lot of people will sort of already know that background about me. But I'm still very, proud of my heritage, both on my mother's side and my father's side. On my mother's side, my late grandfather, Dr. Joseph Morris, also built up a great history in Liberia. He was the former deputy Minister of Education, ambassadors to Sierra Leone and the Gambia at some point. And so I just come, I would say, from a rich political background. It was just a matter of time before I entered the arena, but it took a while. And so we resettled in Brooklyn Center back in 2001. And then I've grown up here in Brooklyn Center for my whole life now, went to Brooklyn Center High School. After that, I went to college at the University of Minnesota, Duluth. And then I went straight to law school. And so now I am a practicing attorney. I practice labor and employment law on the management side. But I still, find joy in serving my community in various ways. I, love mentoring the youth. I also like, some civic duties. I'm a planning commissioner right now with the city. And so that's me.
All right. So you listen to them, Liberians, and those of you watching, Mayor Michael Elliott, Council Member Winfred Russell, as well as Miss Cole Guana, who's also one of the young lady that is vying for an elected position here in Minnesota, precisely the city of Brooklyn Center. Neto, you want to take it on?
Yes, let's say welcome to our guests. And briefly, in 4 minutes' time, I would like each of you, starting with Mr. Russell, to outline your platform in 4 minutes. From there, we'll go to Elliott and Kaul. So let's start with you, Councilman Russell. In 4 minutes, tell us your platform.
Thank you. I think a number of folks have heard me on the campaign trail or heard the information being disseminated about what I stand for and some of the things I'll be advancing. My values that sort of inform the policy decisions that I will take when I become the next mayor of Brooklyn Park. And it's just a pretty straightforward, working on increasing our affordable housing stock in Brooklyn Park, coming up with some innovative criminal justice and crime prevention strategy in the city, working to engage the youth and develop a lot of programs and initiative to engage the young people within our community. We see that there are a lot of issues coming from that demographic group, especially related to crime and criminal activity. So how are we engaging them? How are we working with the young folks? That's a priority area for me. And increasing small business growth and development. We work very closely with many small businesses here in the city of Brooklyn Park. We just recently purchased a small business center that we will be turning into a business incubation center that has been managed by the Liberian Business Association here in Brooklyn Park. So those are the things that I will be focusing on. I'll be paying a lot of attention. I'm a big outdoors type person. So parks and trails and building new parks and recreational spaces in the city will be another priority of mine. We have a lot of parks and we have a lot of trails in Brooklyn Park. We have 5 parks in Brooklyn Park, but many of these trails, they're not connected to the Three River park system. So one of my priority areas is to ensure that we can link all these different pedestrian and bike trails throughout the city. So those are the areas and the issues that I will be focusing on. And as part of the core areas of my platform for mayor of Brooklyn Park.
All right, let's hear you. Mayor Elliott, are you there? You want to take it on?
Yeah, he has to
Yes,
mute his microphone. Okay, go
really
ahead.
excited. I've been mayor now for um, nearly 4 years, and we've already accomplished quite a number of important items on our agenda, and we're continuing to do that. So as mayor in the next 4 years, here are the things that I'm going to focus on. Number one, we have to have more opportunities for our young people in the city. We have to have a new youth center where young people can go, where they can have access to computers, they can work on their resume, they can get help with getting a job. They can have the ability to do sports indoors year round. We need a first class facility for our young people because they are our future when we have to invest in them. We right now invest about 40% of the city's budget into policing. And so that's our single largest investment. And you get back what you invest in. It's time for us to make sure that we're investing a huge portion of our or a substantial portion of our funds into the young people, so that what we get back are the fruits that we want. The other thing we have to do is attract new businesses into Brooklyn Center. We have to make sure that we're building up our economic base, our economic infrastructure. Over the last 20, 30 years, Brooklyn Center has lost a lot of the businesses that were here thriving. So we're building a new international center here in Brooklyn Center, new international market center, fashioned after the Midtown Global Market, with a food court indoors where our folks in our community can go, sit down, have a meal from a lot of different cultures. So we're attracting businesses and we're building our economic base. We're also improving our housing quality and building more housing. We built the first multi-family apartments housing here since the 70s, and that was just a couple of years ago. Very shortly, we're going to be developing the former Fort lot, which many of you know used to be a mall area that was thriving, that is now empty and flat. We're going to be building that up as well, with a combination of a movie theater, housing, childcare facility, and whatnot. So there's a lot of work that we're doing right now to make sure that we are building Brooklyn Center to the kind of future that we want it to be. We're also protecting tenants' rights, and we're going to continue to do that in the next 4 years coming up. We're supporting seniors as well in making sure that we have some discounts, some senior rates when it comes to the water bill, when it comes to those kind of those kind of costs that continue to rise, but seniors are on fixed incomes. So we have to make sure that we're doing all those things, protecting the environment as well, making sure that we're lowering the tax burden on our young people, and supporting small local businesses. So we've done that already. In my term, we allocated more money towards small businesses than any other time before. We've allocated money to LIBA, Liberian Business Association, to make sure that they can then provide very low interest loans to micro loans to small businesses in our community, so that they can make it through this very difficult time. And we are also ensuring accountability in public safety. We've been doing a lot of reform work to make sure that we're having a new lens when it comes to public safety and policing in our community. And I'm very happy to talk about that at some point here this evening. But we're doing groundbreaking, transformative work that other people around the country and locally here are excited about and want to explore in the ways that they can do it in their own communities as well.
Mayor Elliott right there with what he brings to the table. And we listened to you already talking about what you've worked on over the last 4 years. We'll be coming back to that. To see whether you can further expand. We'll also be coming back to Winfred. You've been there for years now. But let's listen to our sister Coco. The committee wants to hear from you. Why why should we give you the opportunity? What do you have to offer your people? Take it on.
Yeah, so I decided to put my name in the race because I wanted to be more than just, a bystander in my own community. I've lived here for 21 years, and actually, you don't even have to live here for that long to see some of the issues that Brooklyn Center has. The number one on my list being that of economic and business development. We, for a long time now, have been, underutilizing some of our vacant land that we have. Over the last 20 years, businesses have been, going and not coming. And we've been met with a lot of, I would say, barriers in that regard. I believe that we wanted to take action, but for one reason or another, it's been difficult in that regard. But I'm hopeful, especially serving on the planning commission and hearing about all the different proposals for development that's coming our way. Some of that Mayor Elliott was speaking about. It gives me hope that Brooklyn Center will be revitalized again, and it'll be very thriving for every one of us. But yeah, economic development, business development, that is one of my top priorities. I also think, though, that development is tied into crime and public safety, because in as much as we want businesses to return, businesses and the people that frequent those businesses need to feel safe in our city. And so I'm looking forward to collaborating with the different partners in public safety towards making Brooklyn Center a safer community for our residents and our business owners. I'm also interested in housing. Being a young person myself that is looking to enter into the housing market, I know how having diversified housing options for every member in our city is important. And so I'm looking forward to developing that area a little bit more. And so those are my three priorities, but that's not to say that, some of the other issues that we'll be discussing here aren't, on my mind. I'm a very, how I say, like a go-getter, and I'm ready to, start the work that's before us. No matter what that project is, no matter what that issue is, I'm going to be hands-on to make sure that, all of the voices in my community are amplified, that they're involved in the decision-making, because it's not something that just happens overnight. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. Development doesn't happen overnight. It's something that, takes the course of many years sometimes. And I just want to, be involved, but also make sure that the community is involved along the way, that we aren't just, making decisions for them, but really making them to be active participants. And so that community focus is at the core of everything that I wish to do if I were elected.
Thank you so much. Anonito, you want to take it on?
Yes, thanks so much for the beautiful explanation from Mark, Russell, and Cole. It's a pleasure for you to explain some of the issues in our society, meaning in the Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park community. Now, let's look at your track record. Let's start with you, Elliott. Name some of them. People want to know exactly what have you done. Pinpoint them out. Let's start with you. I gave you like 30 minutes to name them.
Okay, sounds good.
Mayor, can you just come back with your video? Sorry.
Yes, I will in just a second here. Do you want to go to Councilmember Russell and then come back to me?
Councilmember Russell, are you there? I think he's also trying to fill in. So let's
yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, let's hear you, Councilmember. If you just come on with your video, that will be okay.
Okay.
We want people to see your kolo. Okay. So let's hear you. If you have to point out your track record, who Russell been in the community, why should we trust you?
Yes, thanks for that. We've worked in this community for a very long time, and like I said, I mean, even though we are here in Brooklyn Park, I'm elected here in Brooklyn Park, but I'm also concerned not only about the welfare of my folks here, my constituents here, but also concerned and supported them of the work that they have done, and the needs of the people back in Liberia too. So we will just list of a few things that we have done, supporting the West African Family Center in ensuring that we have ethnic specific food. Where folks can go and get food supplies. You remember during COVID-19, we had shortages all over the place. Supply chain issues is still a problem now. We're able to work with my colleague and provide funding to the West African Family Service Center that is at the Brooklyn United Methodist Church in Brooklyn Park and the Brooklyn Center to provide food. Work with the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota to also provide resources for them to get food and continuously supply food to the community to his work as well. But since I sit on a statewide board and a part of a statewide initiative around COVID-19, so work very closely with the OLM, the LMA, and Ebenezer Church and some other churches too in the community in ensuring that folks got access to vaccination services, COVID-19 resources. So we work very closely to deliver those services to the community, and we're still doing that now. As we speak, the community came to us and said, "Look, we are tired renting from these office complexes and these businesses. We like to have our own, space." So I sponsor a bill to allow us to purchase a small business center. So if you know Brooklyn Park, if you're in Brooklyn Park, we purchased the strip mall that used to be a part of CVS. CVS used to be a part of. So we purchased that entire strip mall. So work with my colleagues on the council and the OLM and ACER and the Liberian Business Association, and we purchased that space and turned the space over now to the Liberian Business Association to manage. So we have provided we provided continuous support to small businesses. We tried to fast track work with my colleagues to fast track the distribution of a CARES dollar from the COVID-19 resources that came through. We were able to distribute about $4.4 million. I mean, the first round, we still have about $5.5 million left to distribute. So ensuring that all of the many of the small community organizations in the community got access to some of those resources to be able to serve our folks, because there are many places where these community groups can go that we as a city council or as a city, we're not able to go. So we're able to ensure that funds and resources go to the deeper crevices of the community to try to address many of the nagging problems that are associated with COVID and COVID-19. A big part of my work, again, like I said, is over the years have been not only working to pass resolutions and and ordinances at the city, but working with the community closely with the government, Liberian government represented here, and the community organization. So work very closely to ensure that Liberians got a permanent status through the DED, from DED to passing, to ensuring that the bill that was signed into law by the Trump administration. Work very closely with our congressional leaders, with our local leaders, in giving immigration relief to more than 10,000 Liberians, and that initiative was led by the Liberian community here in Minnesota for the entire country, for the entire diaspora, the U.S. diaspora at least, Liberian diaspora, and now we have the LRIF, and we were an integral part of that, working with many of the smaller cities around New Hope, Crystal, Robbinsdale, Brooklyn Center, where we have many of our people, many of our people are residing in these places. So we made the case, and eventually the Trump administration bought that and signed into law the LRIF.
Typically, if we are to give Councilman Russell the time to keep going on, we're going to have a very long time here. So I think we listen to a little bit. Councilman Russell will be coming back to you. Mayor Elliott, are you there? Can you just speak up from where he stopped to make sure that you can tell us what sets you apart and what are some of those things that you can count that have been happening in our community as a result of your own efforts?
Yes, so we've been working now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but if you could just get on with video, that would be better for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is happening with my video here, so I don't know if you're not able to see me right when I turn my video on. Give me just a minute.
Yeah. So then let's speak up from you, Cole. Let's hear you while the mayor gets adjusted. I know the issue of technology comes with a lot, so we understand the hurdles they put in and holding here and there. And just to announce to you, if you're listening, you're watching, wherever you are, we will also have joining us the head of the Liberia Ministerial Association, the head of all the pastors here in Minnesota, Reverend George Waller, will join us in a bit. As we go on, he has his own statement on behalf of the pastors. We will hear from him as well. But let's hear you, Mayor Elliott. I think we're getting you very clear. Just unmute and let's hear you.
Okay. So the question is,
what set you apart? What are some of those things that you can count that the mayor have been done in the community, be it in Brooklyn Center or the cities, since you came onto the field, even before? What can you say?
Well, like I said, I grew up here. I went to Brooklyn Center High School. Really early on, I started this Brooklyn Center program called Fast Forward Education. And the whole idea was to work with young people who were struggling in school. We believed that they could do well, right? We just provided them the resources and supported them. And we saw kids go from all Fs or all Ds, averages, and went to As, right, within this one single semester. Really early on, I started working, just supporting young people in the community. I also served on the board of SEEP, served on many different boards and organizations to really help improve our community. As mayor, over the last 3.5 years, this has been probably one of the more trying times to be mayor in our history. Of course, I was elected in 2018, became mayor January of 2019. Of course, in 2020, we saw a few things happen. We saw COVID-19, we saw George Floyd be murdered, and we saw an entire world mobilize. Of course, here in Brooklyn Center, being right next to Minneapolis, we saw people mobilize in the streets. We saw some looting happen as well. These are all things that we had to respond to. Early on in the COVID-19 pandemic, I had of course, it caught all of us off guard. Right away, I had to put in some emergency measures that would protect the health, as well as, as Councilmember Russell was mentioning earlier, as well as release funds to several food shelves, including the West African food shelf, and including SEEP, including CAPI as well. I had to issue an executive order related to COVID-19, and part of that I included $30,000 to fund those nonprofit organizations to provide food, make sure they were available. Of course, we worked our way through the pandemic, making sure that we had the proper responses here in Brooklyn Center. And of course, in April 2021, when Dante Wright was shot and killed. The whole world turned its attention to Brooklyn Center. We had people mobilized in the streets, really bringing their grievances to the doorsteps of the government, saying that things needed to change because they had seen too often what happens when police pull people over. And too many times, people are treated in ways that they shouldn't be. Of course, we had days of unrest. We had to respond to the crisis in ways that set us apart, ways that start to change the tone in terms of how we in this country respond when people from our communities rise up and want to see something different, want to see something change. So we have been doing that work right on the heels of Dante Wright being shot and killed. We passed the Dante Wright Community Safety and Violence Prevention Act, and that act has been called the most transformative public safety act in the country by the ACLU, by the National ACLU. And so we're leading when it comes to public safety transformation around the country. We're one of the cities that are leading that process. Part of that means we now have a new policy around traffic stops, right? That is just about ready to go before the city council. That policy addresses, one of the issues or the reasons they pulled Dante Wright over for. Air freshener hanging on in the rearview mirror, expired tabs. So this new traffic stop policy looks at those things and it says police should not pull people over for those things anymore. Nor should they pull people over for tinted windows or loud muffler or several of these reasons or broken tail light or headlight. Several of these reasons we know stopping people does not improve the conditions for safety in our community, right? So we want to keep people safe, we want to keep our roadways safe, we want to keep people moving to their destination. Of course, if there's something, somebody's weaving in and out of traffic, the police will always, pull people over for things that are actually causing a danger on the roadway. The final thing one of the other key pieces that come out of that Dante Wright resolution is a community safety and violence community safety team that's going to respond to some of these situations where we know police don't need to go to. Like if somebody's having a mental health crisis, we don't need to send a police there. We send somebody who's trained in mental health to address that situation. If you have somebody come to your house and you know what's wrong is your sink is leaking, you don't send an electrician there to fix your sink. You send a plumber. And similarly, if your light switch is broken, you don't send somebody there who's a plumber, you send somebody there who's an electrician. So what we're doing now is we're saying, look, we need the right people to do the right jobs, right? A long time ago in this country, barbers used to perform surgery, right? In the history of barbers, they used to perform surgery in the barbershops. Well, we don't do that anymore, thank God. We have hospitals for that, and the doctors do that now exclusively. So we're evolving how we do public safety in Brooklyn Center. We also pass tenant protections here in Brooklyn Center. Brooklyn Center is the only city that has something called just cause, right? That means the landlord has to renew the lease unless there's a justifiable reason to not renew that lease, such as, prolonged non-rent payment and things like that. We're also the only city in the state of Minnesota that has a 30-day pre-eviction notice requirement. So Minneapolis, they have 7 days. St. Louis Park, they have 14 days. Those are the only other two cities that require landlord to send a letter in advance. Before they send an eviction, following eviction, they have to send a letter saying they intend to. We're the only city that has got 30 days. So you have 30 days if that ever happens to then have somebody intervene on your behalf, some housing justice organization, contact your landlord and try to work out whatever the issue is, or you can even move on your own accord without getting an eviction on your record. So these things are not easy to do. They're transformative, they're groundbreaking. We're leading the way in all these different categories, and we want to keep doing this work. Of course, there are enemies of progress, right, that try to stop this progress, try to reverse it. They don't want us doing these good things here because they're most afraid that it's going to spread to other cities. But of course, that's what we want to have happen. That's why it's so critical that everybody come out and vote in this primary. Primaries are where people get moved on to the general election. And I have to do my own job too, Cyrus, and say the primary is August 9th. Tuesday,
yeah, so Mayor,
August.
we will be coming to that. Let's not just jump. You know, I know you want to get there right away,
I
but
want to say any opportunity I get as many times
just to talk about this right away. So not to keep him waiting. Let's add on Pastor George Wallen. George Wallen, Reverend, is the head of the Pastors Association here in our great city of Minnesota. Pastor Wallen, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Cyrus.
And I know you've been listening in the background to the discussion going on, and we have with us our candidates, your people from Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. So just before we take you, I know you have a statement of support from the people that you lead. That's the religious people. We also expected Imam Dukli, but we did not get a confirmation up to present. But we happy to have you. Let's listen to you, Cole. You listen to Mayor Elliott. You listen to Councilman Russell. Now you pushing for the Brooklyn Center City Council. And what exactly sets you apart? What are some of those things that people listening or watching, or people who've been seeing you on the campaign trail don't know that you've been doing in your own week? Well, let's hear you.
Yes. So thank you for the question. I do want to preface my statement with saying that, I am not an incumbent. I'm a newer candidate on the block. All of us are new in this election. And so by way of policy making experience, I certainly don't have some of those things that my colleagues spoke about on my resume. But what I can say here tonight is that my heart has always been in the right place. As early as, even in college, I went to UMD in Duluth, like I said. And when I saw that the Liberian community in Liberia were in great need during the Ebola crisis, I really stepped up in that regard on campus, being one of the few Liberians there in a majority white campus to create an awareness campaign where, it was actually a week-long campaign where we tabled, we hosted events, we hosted listening sessions to just try to get people educated about the health crisis that was happening in Liberia and the other two West African countries. And during that time, we also fundraised. And so that was, I guess I could say my first taste of community organizing around a very important issue, being from Liberia myself. And so I was really, proud of that effort and the funds that we were able to raise for the Liberian community and send back. We partnered with Doctors Without Borders to do that. And we also partnered with Councilman Winfred Russell to be one of our speakers during that time. And so, that was in college. And, like I said earlier, I went straight to law school. So I've been in school for almost all of my life. But again, every opportunity that I had, when we were dealing with in Minnesota and across the U.S., the immigration issue with the DED, anytime that we were at the state capitol, I would always, take that day, whether it was a weekday or the weekend, to go and rally with my other Liberian brothers and sisters about, immigration rights. And so I remember when OLM would sponsor those rallies, and we'd all go on the bus, we'd all go to the state capitol, and I just remember being so proud to be a Liberian in those moments. I talked a little bit too. I've been a youth mentor. So actually going back, I used to volunteer with the Minnesota African Women's Association, where we would mentor young middle school and high school African girls to get them excited about, pursuing different advanced degrees. And just being in that space, to be a role model to those African girls, many of them being Liberian, it felt great to help, show them about a life that's out there, the possibilities that's out there if you just, stay focused and stay determined. And so, I've been out of law school for just under about 2 years now. And so now I'm picking it up. I'm picking up some of my community activism with a little bit of speed. And so, like I said, I joined the Planning Commission, and there I guess I should say my legal analytical skills to really analyze some of these proposals that are brought before us, and then eventually City Council. And with every proposal, I always ask myself, okay, how is this going to benefit the community, which includes the Liberians living in the community? And so I'm a very, very diligent in that regard. And then now I want to bring all of that to City Council. And so, it has to start from somewhere. You're building these experiences so that you can come back and tell the community, okay, I've done X, Y, and Z. But before you can say you've done X, Y, and Z, you have to be able to have a platform. Someone has to be able to pass the torch to you. And so you have to start from somewhere. And so this is the somewhere that I want to start from. Thank you.
All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful call. You did it very, very blunt and to the point. And earlier on, I introduced Reverend George Wallow. Right now, we have joining us as well the head of the one of the heads of the Liberian community, the executive director of the Organization of Liberians in Minnesota, Mr. Kamati Dian. Mr. Kamati Dian, after a very, very hectic time for the Independence Day, it's good to have you here with us as we talk to your people.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be on the show today. As you can see, I'm in the office right now compiling the July 26th report.
I meant to this Sunday, so we'll be resting.
That's it. That's what my wife tells me. So
doing the people's job.
Yes.
But on the other hand, that's what you signed up for.
Yes, why you signed up is because we are trying to do our best to dispel the myth that when it comes to accountability, OLM has a challenge with that. So we trying to strive as much as we can to do that. But I haven't said that, it is in our very best interest as a community if we have people from our community aspiring for public offices. As a community, we should be supportive of those members of our community that try to be elected into public offices. It's a plus. And we have 3 fine candidates, and qualification is not the issue. They are all overqualified for the position. The 2 of the candidates have a wealth of experience in the very service of the city, in the person of the honorable mayor, who is a current mayor and going for re-election. And if you look at some of the bills, bill or city level laws that were passed, the city of Brooklyn Center is very progressive in that. They're going far, and the issue leadership, they say tough times come and go, but tough people remain. Mayor Elliott have exhibited a very firm, solid ability to steer the ship steadily in troubled times. One of the instances where Dante's death, when the whole city was in a total state of chaos, subsequently leading to the city manager and the police chief leave. But the entire world were looking at Brooklyn Center at the time. I can give you a scenario. Immediately after 9/11, when President Bush stood at the rumbles with a microphone in his hand, the whole of the United States, people that doubted his ability to be president, entire country colorized around him. At that moment, it showed leadership. And so it was the situation with Mayor Elliott. The entire world, the entire America, look at Brooklyn Center. And you have people call around, and he proved to be an able leader at a very challenging time. That's how you have leaders standing out for amongst the peer. So history will be very kind to this gentleman. Okay. You have Councilman Russell. Russell, say what you want to say about him. People have different personality. Some people are introvert, and some people are the opposite extrovert. But that does not put to challenge his qualification and the work he's done for our community. I think I established one of the largest African community organization, ISA, that have strived to make many policies that help not only the Liberian community, but the entire Black, Brown, and minority African community. He came from a very humble background. I know some people refer to him as an elite. No, he's not. He just have a personality as an introvert like many other people will be. Is he qualified? You're damn right he's qualified. As a matter of fact, he's serving as a current city council member of the city of Brooklyn Park. A city whose budget, if I'm not mistaken, is about 80 million. He also the vice president of the EDA. What has this guy done? Working with Russell and the city of Brooklyn Park, OLM was able to access a lot of resources. Let me dispel the myth today that our education, we have one of the program, we have workforce development that specializes in the training of nursing assistants and trained medical assistants. Was Mr. Russell critical about us having the grant? Yes, he was. Did he ask tough questions that is sometimes perceived as putting our credibility on the line? Yes. Did he vote for that grant? Yes, he did. He did not vote against that grant. He voted for that grant. Was he critical? Yes, he was. Do other people perceive that as very different? You can take any way you want to. That's not only that. Councilman Russell.
ED.
I'm not done yet.
Yeah, we will want you to just wrap it up shortly. We will come back because the mayor has another engagement. He will want to leave us in 10 minutes. So we will actually just talk a little bit about code, and then
I'll go in one by one.
And then we will come back to you. That we can be running this until later on. But let's do it so that the mayor can have a fair piece before he takes his leave.
All right, no problem. I'll make it short.
And keep it in mind that Councilman Russell is also on a door knock. We pull him out of a door knock. So let's keep it in a nutshell. I know we will keep going on.
So to wrap it up, Councilman Russell's out of the grants and stuff that OLM have applied from the city of Brooklyn Park, he have voted for every one of them. Not one. Not only that, but the MDH grant that we had from MDH, there were two competitors, and he put his neck on the line for OLM, the 33 grants we had. To the extent that they accused him of being biased, he said, I'm a Liberian, but I don't work for OLM. But because of OLM track record, they deserve that. Now, Kowu, I have a daughter. Okay, Kowu is the perfect story of Liberian young women. Okay, transcending lots of barriers and stigma to get her head above water. You know, most often we look at our African and Black women from a different lens. We don't look at them as equal. We don't look at them as being worth to be in the arena. Look at her CV. Look at the strive she's had. Look at her qualification. Look what she is. Isn't this a Liberian story? Isn't this something worth telling? Every young Liberian girl that aspires to be somebody should look through that lens. Every Liberian father, mother should look at Kowu as a child that is representing every young Liberian girl. I said, and I'll maintain this, there is one community, 3 candidates. They are all qualified. They can all bring pride to our community. Let this community polarize around these 3 fine children of our community.
All right, Executive Director, let's hear you, Pastor Wallon. We just go 5 minutes with you so that we give the mayor chance to wrap up, and then we can all stay on here, except for Councilman Russell, who also will have to leave a little bit earlier because of his door knocking process. So let's hear you, Pastor Wallon.
Well, thank you again, Cyrus, for hearing me.
Yes, very well.
Yeah, for allowing me to take part in this discussion. I think we have qualified candidates running at this point in time for the immigrant community, and we should allow them to do the work that they have been preparing for to do. I think not Reverend, but Mayor Elliott, he and Councilman Russell have something in common. When Mayor Elliott first ran for the city of Brooklyn Park and to be a mayor, he lost the election, and he came back. And each time someone has a desire to go into leadership and they fail and come back, it just tells you that they got something to offer. And that is what I saw in him. And so when he came the second time, I felt that he needed my support, and we had to do everything we can to give him the chance. And the time came for test of leadership, and he proved himself worldwide. And who else do we think we can have to put into the place to continue with the legacy he has started? So I believe that Mike should be given a chance, and all Liberians and African immigrants in the city of Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, especially those who have relatives in these cities, should make sure that they re-elect Mayor Mark Elliott as the next mayor of the city of Brooklyn Center. I think that what I said about Mike is the same for Councilman Russell. He came first and ran, and he lost. And when he went to Nigeria and came back, I think when he went for the work he did in Nigeria was to diversify his experience. He worked with the Islamic community in Nigeria, and he came back very strong with the desire to work. And when he came back, he came prepared again with the desire to serve the people. He got back into the race, and we gave him the chance again. And you see that for Councilman Russell, just for the number of years he has spent on the council, it is a plus for him, for the immediate past mayor, to look among all of Brooklyn Park and all the qualification and leadership skills people have to endorse him. That Mike Elliott, Councilman Russell is qualified to take the place of Lisa. And Lisa, the incumbent, also came to endorse him. This man, I have worked with him, and I think he is the right person to lead because he has the experience to lead the city of Brooklyn Park with the diverse population we have. And we see that Councilman has been very careful in his work. He has not been biased. He has not been lopsided. He's worked for everyone, including white, black, and all different groups of people. So from the religious community, we had a Q&A with him the last time, and we openly support him, that we are calling on everyone to vote and elect Councilman Russell to get ready for the general election in November. So I thank God that I'm here to add my voice to the rest and to say that we want these men to be elected to represent us. And Cole is a voice of the younger generation. Most of our kids that are going astray today because they don't have someone to imitate as a role model. And Cole stepping up at this point, she didn't come here to look for money to go to the schools to learn about some career to amass wealth for herself, but at the early age to choose a career that is going to be fully dedicated to serving humanity, gave us a heart that she meant well for our community, and we should give her a chance. Recently, when we had the July 26th service, we included her on a panel because as I get ready to leave the stage at LMA, I felt that we should include younger generation on our panel to be heard. And she spoke well about her intention to make a difference. And I think she's qualified to go. She may not have been in a city council before, but she is coming with wealth of knowledge from other organizations. And those are transferable skills that I think you can use to bring about change in the community.
All right, thank you very, very much, Reverend George Wallen. You listen to him. He's the head of the Pastors Associations here in Minnesota. Earlier on, you listened to Kmtv, the head of the Librarian Committee, executive director of the Librarian Committee, let me put it that way. And they both talk about why Liberians and others in our community, why should we encourage our friends, whether from the Kenyan community, the Ghanaian community, Nigerian community? We have to sell ourselves so that people get to buy us, So these are our brothers and our sisters. We have to put out there, tell people why we should elect or re-elect them to office, because if we don't do it, we lose these opportunities right before our doorstep. Trust me, we will be fighting with people on on the city council from different nationalities, from different areas, that will be pushing, the best interest of their people. So you have these three. I know Mayor Mike Elliott is pressed with time. I know you want to leave, Mayor, but we had two other cardinal things that we thought that you guys could touch on. Number one, gun violence. Number two is the issue of mental health. This is something that is very serious in our community, and there are, community dwellers. Let me put it, our Liberian people, we can't despise the issue of mental health. It is happening. It is real. What can you guys speak to as it relates to these two? Gun violence. We saw you in the news, Mayor Elliott, pushing for the best thing for Brooklyn Center. And I'm sure that other communities, other cities are copying just what you did, So what can you speak to as it relates to these two? And then we can have your closing encouraging people to get out and vote. And then we can keep here with Winfred Russell and Cole Warner.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, let me just say that without Reverend Walnut, we wouldn't have won the 2018 election. So I just want to go on record saying that he was absolutely instrumental and making sure that we were able to, golfers, but without his help, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did. All right. When it comes to mental health and it comes to gun violence in our community, the two are closely linked, right? So we have to think about what are the solutions, and we have to get to the root of the solutions. The solution is not to lock everybody up, right? Because I heard somebody say recently the Department of Corrections has never corrected anybody. In fact, they come out better criminals, right? So here's the thing. In Minnesota, Black people are 6% of the population, close to 7% of the population, but they are 30% of the jails. So how is it that you're 30% of the general, 7% of the general population, but 30% of the jails? That means somebody is locking up Black people at an extremely high rate, at a disproportional rate, really disproportional to their share of the population. So we have all these kids that are at home and they don't have any fathers because a lot of them have been locked up, and it becomes this cycle. So we have to disrupt that cycle. I know Pastor Warren's been out, for instance, at the transit station where some of the young people gather, and has had a team out there talking with them. And this is exactly what we need to do. We have to take command and control of our own communities, our own destiny. Nobody else is going to do it for us. Nobody is coming to save us, and we have to save ourselves. So the approach that we've been taking with public safety is we've been asking some very simple questions. We're not afraid to ask common sense questions and arrive at solutions that we know make sense. For instance, we asked the question, do we have to have somebody with a gun stop your car when you're on your way to work, or you're on your way to a wedding or your kid's birthday party, and tell you the sticker on the back of your car is expired? Why does that require somebody with a gun? When there's something wrong with your house, we don't send somebody with a gun to come there and tell you you need to fix your window. We send somebody there that's a city employee that's trained to deliver that message. And I think people are much more likely to have a gun in their house than they are to have a gun in their car. So part of the resolution we passed is to say, look, we're looking for civilian traffic enforcement. We're looking to take law enforcement out of enforcing certain things, and we're going to find other ways of enforcing them. So the Public Policy Act we passed, one of them, I think I mentioned this earlier, one of the policies is to say we're no longer going to pull people over for expired tabs. It's just a tax on your car that you did not pay. We can find other ways to collect that money or send you a reminder in the mail that say you need to pay this. Pulling people over for broken tail light and things like that. We also have to invest in people going on the streets and talking with our young people, building those relationships, giving them avenues of opportunities, helping them develop tools so that they can have a future that they can look forward to, that they can be proud of, that they can run toward, instead of running towards some of the activities that we see in the streets. That's really what it comes down to. Some of these young people just need somebody to believe in them. They need to know somebody is looking for them to do good, somebody that invests, pour love and invest in them. And that's what it takes. And we need to do that ourselves in our own community. And when it comes to mental health, like I mentioned earlier, instead of having police respond to mental health calls, we're having in Brooklyn Center a community team that has trained mental health professionals that can respond to those calls. And when the police show up, they give people tickets. But when mental health workers show up, they give people hope, and they help them get access to resources and mental health treatment so they can get better. And that's what we're doing in Brooklyn Center. So Those two issues are incredibly important for us. The last thing I want to say is we have to make sure that we have a seat at all of these tables. We have a historic opportunity right now. We've made so many gains in Brooklyn Center, we cannot afford to go back. We cannot afford to backslide. And the enemies of progress are inserting themselves in the election. They're finding people who look like us, kind of, but we know those people. They're supporting those people because they know those people are not going to fight. And let me be clear: this is a fight. It's a fight for the future, for the kind of future we want to see, for the kind of future we want to have for our kids. Do we want to live in a society of fear, or do we want to live in a society of hope? That is what this election is fundamentally about. Do we want to go forward, or do we want to move backwards? That's what this election is about. So if you want to move forward, we want to keep moving forward, we have to take action, because the people who want us to move backwards are taking action. Guess what? They are voting because they're angry. We need to vote because we're full of hope. So I'm asking everybody to come to the polls August 9th. Put it on your calendar, set your alarm, take the time off of work now, and go vote. Saturday, August 6th, you can vote all day from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. if you go to City Hall. If you're in Brooklyn Center, if you're in Brooklyn Park, New Hope, Crystal, anywhere you are, go vote. But set it on your calendar. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can go to City Hall and vote early. It takes 5 minutes. You'll not wait. You can register there and vote there, even if you're not registered to vote already. So I hold your foot. I'm begging you, everybody.
You're not go photo.
But they go for
The other people come in.
You don't want to take it.
No.
All right, so Mayor Michael Elliott will be leaving us. I know we had to pull you off from your engagement, but it was wonderful having you, Mayor. And we wish you all of the best. We hope that KMTV can follow you before August 9th on one of the door knockings to see what we can do, as you get on the trail out there. All of the best to you in your sojourn.
Okay. Last thing, we are planning Saturday, August 6th to have Liberia versus Mexico.
Oh, wow. After you beat Ghana, you can beat Mexico again?
Yeah. we'll exercise our abilities.
Your people come out to Jesse.
Oh yeah. In fact, I think he's gonna be I don't know. You want to be the goalkeeper? I'm not sure.
I think
so. I beg you. We get drop again.
Just make sure you get an ambulance on standby.
Yeah, so it's Saturday, right?
Yeah, Saturday, August 6th. We'll be there from 11 to 3. We'll be there. We'll be at Brooklyn Center Elementary School. So everybody come. We'll have jollof rice. We'll have fried fish.
No.
We'll have meats.
pan butter, cassava leaf.
No cassava leaf or pan butter, I beg you.
All right.
Second with me, Elliott, and let me get that information out.
All right, we'll do it.
Thank you so much, Mayor. We hope to connect as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right, Mayor Michael Elliott right there, and you heard him very, very well talking about why people should get out there to vote. If we don't vote, they are voting, and your decision to stay home will give them the opportunity to elect people that would not be in your interest. So we listened to Mayor Elliott on gun violence and mental health. Councilman Russell, you want to pick up from there? Let's hear you. What's your own position? Why do you think the people should take onto your plans to battle these two?
Thank you, and I think Michael spoke very well, and Mayor Elliott spoke eloquently about the issue. We have similar challenges here in Brooklyn Park, and one of the things that we're trying to do here to address these issues. We're working with the young people, developing programs and initiatives with the young people to get them engaged. Our data is showing that many of the criminal type activities that we have, a lot of the challenges that we have around that, the data show that young people, for the most part, are involved. But I think it's not because they're all bad. But I think some of the issues is that we have to be able to engage the young people. We have to be able to find diversion and diversionary programs here to work with them closely to get them busy. There's a saying that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. I guess that's how that saying goes. So we need our young people engaged and active. We are renovating the teen center in Brooklyn Park, and we're hoping to build another one somewhere probably in the northern part of the city. The current one we have is in the southern part of the city. Crime in Brooklyn Park, believe it or not, is at an all-time low. But the perception of crime, we still have a lot of calls that are coming through criminal activities. So there is my approach is to support the police, is to ensure that we give the police the resources that the police need to do its work. I'm pushing to ensure that we have a diverse police force, that looks like the city of Brooklyn Park, which is now at 61.2% people of color out of a population of almost 87,000 people. So is to continue to support the police, is continue to give them the resources that they need to keep us safe, to keep the bad guys and the bad girls off the street, if the police were to do something wrong, you can rest assured that they will be held accountable. But we have a fine police department here in Brooklyn Park, and we want to keep it. At that. That's one of the reasons why I support the continuity that we have now in the Brooklyn Park Police Department. The current police. We have an interim police chief now because our police, the head of our police force retired, and so we now have an interim police chief. I support him because I like this community policing that he's brought on and engaging the community. So that's the sort of approach that we are taking. That I'm going to work with my council folks, to work with the community to bring the community on board. So we have a great relationship between the police and the community. We've also supported a mental health unit at the police force. We have paramedics too at the fire department. So we are providing all the resources that we can possibly provide to help to ensure that we have mental health intervention. But there are some practices, some initiatives in the community that we also like to work with. I would like to work with finding solution to problems that exist in our community. So there is a mental health organization in our community called Peace Be Still. They're providing professional technical services around mental health. So I look forward to working with those type of organizations in our community. So look at our community, work with our community from a strength-based perspective as opposed to the deficit. We already have the answer to some of the problems that we're dealing with in our community. We already have the expertise in our community. So how are we reaching out to organizations like Peace Be Still, or Pomani? The issue around domestic violence too is a big thing in our community, and I've advanced a policy through the council, and I've received the support of 3 of my city council members to support purchasing a domestic violence shelter, for example, in our community. So I'm also, that's something that I'm going to be pushing through when I become your mayor. Again, working with the local community, because we have solutions to some of the challenges that we have. We have some of those solutions here. It's about being able to identify where those solutions are, the organizations that are providing those solutions, and bringing them on board, and working with them very very closely. So that's going to be my approach as we move forward. But I just before I end here, want to say thanks to the executive director of OLM, Kmtv, who has been tremendously supportive and helpful to all of us. He came up with that tagline, one community, three candidates, or three candidates in one community. I think it's working. We need to get all of our folks on board and supporting all three candidates. Cole Guanu in Brooklyn Center, Michael Elliott in Brooklyn Center running for mayor, and Winfred Russell in Brooklyn Park running for mayor. I think we all need to come together, because at the end of the day, we're just a vessel for our community to give access to resources, to get access to power. We need representation, especially in Brooklyn Park, which is way bigger than Brooklyn Center. But we had a Liberian professional there as assistant city manager. She has retired, so I'm the only one who now serves on the city council there. And so if I'm not elected, God forbid, if I'm not elected to move on to the second round in November, the general election, we will have no representation, at City Hall. And as of the 2020 census, Liberians in Brooklyn Park make up about 15,000 strong in Brooklyn Park. So we need representation. So I call on all of our folks, as Kamati laid it out and Pastor Wallen laid it out. We've worked for a very long time in this community, and it's inevitable. We may have said some things or did some things that may have been looked at the wrong way, or may have hurt some feelings, or may have bruised some egos, and but directly hurt some folks, and for that, I like to say, I'm sorry, and I like to apologize in this public manner. But I think the community is the key. I think we all need, this is a rare opportunity for us to have leadership and to project leadership in this community, in Brooklyn Park, and getting the support of the current mayor, who supports us and is endorsing us, is door knocking for us, getting the support of the immediate past mayor and 6 of the 7 city council members. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So all we need is for us to rally around these 3 candidates, 2 in Brooklyn Center and 1 in Brooklyn Park, Liberian immigrant. There's only 1 Liberian running in Brooklyn Park. So don't let anyone fool you. There's no other Liberian immigrant running in Brooklyn Park except Winfred Russell. So vote Russell. You can vote early. There's early voting has started at City Hall, 5200 85th Avenue North at Brooklyn Park City Hall. You can vote now until the 8th of August, but primary election day is August 9th. Please come out to vote. Please come out to vote. There were 3 candidates running, 3 black candidates, 2 African American, and 1 African immigrant who happens to be a Liberian. Okay, and I need your vote to go to the second round in November, and I can only do it with all of your support. So thanks for this opportunity, Kmtv, and thanks to all of the folks, to Pastor Wallen, to Executive Director Kmtv, to City Council aspirant Cole Guanu, and my friend and brother Mike Elliott from the city of Brooklyn Park, Mayor Mike Elliott. So for all of us, I'd like to say thanks to all of you who are listening and watching. But please, even if you don't live in Brooklyn Park, I'm sure you know a lot of folks who live in Brooklyn Park, because Brooklyn Park is the nucleus of the Liberian diaspora community, the entire U.S. Brooklyn Park is the nucleus, because we have the population density here is the largest anywhere else in the U.S. So call your friends, call your relatives, and encourage them to vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Russell. Thanks for explaining the situation. If you don't elect Russell, there will be no representation there at the city council and the mayor seat in Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park. So Elliott and Russell are vying for such position. And so turn up to vote. One thing I like to say is that someone wants to make history. I remember Dr. Joseph Seguano wrote a book, and one of his book title is The First Republic, and so he also wrote another book called The Liberian History. So his daughter want to make some new history in the US now. So let's go to you, Cole, looking at the gun violence, looking at mental issue. Because one time I was reading a statement that said guns don't kill people, people kill people. I'm like, some people have mental issues, so they go ahead and do these things. And mental illness, like all of your colleagues said, is serious in the US. What differences are you going to bring in incorporating those laws? Looking at your background from the lawyer perspective.
Yes. So gun violence, mental health, I believe that we can start making progress in those areas when we begin to see it as an us problem instead of a, you or their problem. Because, take gun violence, for example. Any one of us or our family members or friends could be affected by gun violence. Mental health. Any one of our family or friends or even ourselves could be dealing with a mental health issue. And so we all need to come to the conversation, having a personal stake into that, and personalizing the issue before we can even move forward to have rich dialogue and action around the issue. Is that we need to take ownership for it instead of just shifting the issues to this one group or this one organization. It needs to be a community effort. And so, when I get to City Hall, I plan to, really encourage the leaders as well as the community to look at the different programming and initiatives that we have already, and really do, I guess like you said, from my legal background and analysis, look at, the numbers or whatever metric we're using for that particular program or initiative, and try to dissect, okay, what has it accomplished? What are the good things to come out of it? And what are some areas in which maybe there's a deficit or we're not accomplishing X, Y, and Z like we thought that we should? And then I also am someone that, I think it's from my youthful background, is I also want to encourage new ideas. I want people to, feel like they can bring that ideas to the table, and that city leadership is going to respect those ideas and try to see, okay, which ones can we pilot? Which ones can we incorporate into the work that we're already doing? Because, mental health, gun violence, they're both multifaceted issues. And so there's not necessarily going to be one solution that as soon as we, place it in front of the community, it's going to solve every aspect of that problem. It takes multiple solutions, multiple initiatives, multiple different types of community organizations that are out there doing the hard work every single day. And so that's the mindset that I'm going into as those issues are affecting our community, and I'm eager to start the work. It's tough, but it's worth it. Service is worth it. Service to the community. It's something that's very fulfilling for me, and it's something that I take very seriously as well. Because I know that our community depends on us and looks to us. But at the same time, as a leader, you also need to look right back at them and engage, because sometimes the solutions are not necessarily found, at that table of leaders. It's found in the community who needs to bring those solutions to us. But the only way that can happen is that if we start to cultivate a healthy dialogue, we rebuild, any bridges of trust that have been broken down. And that's how we strive towards success when it comes to gun violence, mental health, and honestly, any other issue.
All right, you've listened to the candidates, and as we wrap it up, we know Councilman Russell and Mayor Elliott had to leave. Councilman Russell was on Donag. Mayor Elliott had to leave a meeting to join us, and they presented to us exactly what they think for their cities. He also listened to Cole and Kamati and Reverend Warner is still with us. So as we wrap it up, before we end up with you, Cole, let's just take you, Kamati, quickly in a nutshell. If you have to encourage your people to get out between now and the 9th of August, what would be your encouragement? And we go on to Reverend Warner, and then we'll wrap it up with Cole.
And before Kamati comes in, Cyrus, let me just say something. Uh, Running as council on the city council, becoming a mayor, this is not a lucrative job. I tell you, it's more of service. It's more of serving your people. I had an interaction with one of the city council person from Crystal, and I was like, uh, and opening her account and asked her how much do you make, and when she told me her income, I was like, no, that can't be true. I needed proof, and I was shocked to know that this is more of a sacrifice. I'm like, I make more than this, and so why? And we started to talk. She said it's passion. So these people are vying for this position. There is no money. I've seen it. No money. It's serving your people. That's the issue I wanted to interject.
Let's hear you, Kamati.
The key word is passion. You know, if you have passion for anything you do, it gives you the drive to go the extra mile. What time is it? Today is Sunday. It's about 6:43. I'm staying in Olam office. Okay? Whatever I have to do could rest. But let me change that from me and get to the bigger community. You know, the BIPOC community in Minnesota is diverse state. And I say this as a Liberian citizen, a common Liberian from the community. If you look at the whole of St. Paul, you can see that the Hmong community have done extremely well for themselves. And that's very good. You look at the whole of Minneapolis, we see our brothers from East Africa, the Somalian community are doing extremely well. And that is good. You come in the Brooklyns, we have predominantly West African community, and the Liberians are more in that West African community numbers. And we should be doing good. So my thing is, the St. Paul will be considered as many as the Hmong community as thriving. It will be considered the Hmong community third. And so in Minneapolis, our brothers there and sisters are doing good. So the Brooklyns, you have the West African community and the Liberian community are in the majority of the minority. We should also consider this our area to strive as well. Now, we have two sitting leaders in the city of Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center. The current city mayor of Brooklyn Center, representing the entire West African community, He's a Liberian. We have another person, Winfred Russell, in the city of Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, representing the entire West African community and African community. He's a Liberian. Then we have our daughter, Cole, who is trying to join that. That is a huge thing for the entire West African community in these Brooklyns. They're fortunate to be Liberians. I will say, let's hold what we have and add on what we have to expand and make it even better. These candidates are the vessels through which we have access. We should make our numbers and presence felt through voting. That's how you count. You can have all the numbers. If that number is not translated into actual votes, it has no impact. It does not count. You can have the 62.1% minority community here. A huge of that is the West African community. And a huge of that is the Liberian as well. 15,000 Liberians among the West African community. If you do not have a majority of that number voting, nobody knows you. You are now counted as far as the election is concerned. You make an impact if you exercise your right to vote. The right to vote, people that came before us share the blood, the lives to give you that right and privilege. Use it. Don't keep it. It is very powerful. Go and vote for whatever candidate that you choose to vote for. Just vote and make a difference and an impact. The last election in the city of Brooklyn Park, it was 2 vote difference. You staying home could alter the entire political landscape for good or bad. Go and vote. That's my message.
All right, Reverend George Warren, as we wrap it up, let's hear you.
Well, I would like to call on all Liberians to go out and vote because it is the proper thing to do at this time. We are at a crossroad. I would say that some of those that are going for city mayor position now in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, in our own Liberian words, they will say, let's take it from them. Let's go and take it from them. And if a Liberian will side with somebody and who tells you that your countryman that is over there is not good for you, I will do better. Don't believe that person. Because the bravery that these men exhibit open way for other immigrants to even think that they will have face to go for election in these cities. Yeah. And so when we open the way for people to see that Black people can lead, they lead with excellence, and we are seeing so, we should also protect the office that has been given to us by our votes to make sure that these men do not only stay, but they go further. So I'm asking all of us who are capable of voting, there is no suppression here, nothing. So we should make sure that we use that voice that we have, which is the ballot, to go and cast the vote. When Councilman Russell was speaking, he talked about the fact that he has the endorsement, and he emphasized that, spoke about it too. So if you say that the immediate past city mayor of Brooklyn Park, Mayor Lundy, he endorsed him, and he said, this man, he is the best person. He worked with me before, and I left him there. And Lisa is now saying that this man is the best. And the 7 city council members, 6 of them are saying that Russell is the best person to succeed Lisa. Now, what will you think of a Liberian deny Russell of your vote that have been endorsed? The white man is knocking a door. The white woman is knocking on the door. The last time he said, well, I can knock the door as much, but let Liberian wake up and go for it. So what else do you want to hear? What else do you want to see? What else do you want people to tell you to motivate you to go out there when the very people that Russell has worked with them. All of them have gone together and said, this, your brother, is the best person to lead the city of Brooklyn Park after Lisa. I'm appealing to all Liberians to see reason, that do not sit back. This is the time to make the history. When Russell was elected, they said, oh yeah, that's the first time for a black man, a Liberian, to get there. And now they have opened the door for him. Everyone is behind him. We should be running faster than these people. So I'm appealing to all of us. Then we come to Mark Elliott. He did an excellent job. The whole world is talking about this black guy during the time of Dante Wright, when he took steps very fast and he controlled things and make sure that the city of Brooklyn Center remains safe. And I know how we've been working behind the scene to make sure that he get all of the best advice to advance the cause for our people. And I'm telling you here that Mark Elliott meant very well. His down-to-earth approach and the way he does things. I know that some of the argument we have in the city council meeting, I have to listen to the argument back and forth. And those things were so strange. But we thank God that he made a very good record. Let us give him this chance to lead the city. And our sister Cole is coming up as a young lady who has a heart for the people, the younger people. She wants to set a legacy. She wants young people to say, look, I am going forward because somebody like Cole is up there representing the city, the council. And as young as she is, she's thinking about more people when she's supposed to be thinking of making a good number of good amount of money for herself, but she's thinking about the people. That heart we must heal and allow her to take the place. And like I said, others are going there. Let's take it from them. Let's take it from them. You think when Mark defeated the white guy that was there as a city mayor, they are forgiving him? No. They want to make sure that no other person get there now from our side. And we can say, no, we have to make sure our voice is heard. We need a place on the table so they can make us menu. So please go out there and vote and let us make sure that these Liberians, immigrants get elected and set example for all of us. Thank you very much. Audio.
You're on mute. You are on mute.
Cyrus, your microphone is not on.
You listen to two strong community leaders, Reverend Warner and Kmtv. Let's listen to our sister to wrap it up. Cole will tell us right now what's your direct message to your people, they're listening, they're watching. What can you say to them leading up to August 9th?
Yes, I want to borrow something that I heard over the 26th weekend at one of the OLM programs. Someone said, we came to this country, Liberians, we came to this country with many of us with the intent to go back to our native land. And now decades later, generations later, we realize that some of us are not going to go back. Some of us do not wish to go back. And so when you're presented with that reality, the only thing then is to make sure that the community in which you do live in is the best community for yourself, for your family, for your children, and for your neighbors. And so then it's ever important then to get into the spaces where decisions are going to be made that directly affects those groups. And so that's why this race is so important to me. City Council makes a lot of important decisions that affects so many different aspects of our lives that we don't know. And if you don't get on that train pretty early, you're going to be left behind. You, your family, your community, decisions are going to be made without your say, without any input at all. And so if you care about your community, then you need to value these.
It's Chai Keys on the beat.
Oh, you guys can hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, go
correct.
ahead.
Right,
Sorry for
right.
the interruption.
Yeah, if you care about your community, then it's ever important for you to just get involved. Get involved, and so that's what I'm trying to do, um, to make sure that I'm one of those informed people, so that I can then inform the people around me. And so that's my message, is that I'm taking my future into my own hands. Um, and that's the best thing that we can do for ourselves, as we find ourselves in America now for the long run. And so I just want to encourage everybody to go out and vote. Like everybody has said here, um, the primary is August 9th. For me, my case is a little bit different. In City Council in Brooklyn Center, there are 9 candidates, including myself. And so come August 9th, the primary, only the top 4 of us will advance into the general election, which is in November. So I've, been working really hard, day after day, night after night, devoting so many hours to this, because I believe in us. I believe in what we can achieve when we work together. And I know that all of that work will not go in vain. So please head to the polls, starting tomorrow through Friday. 8 a.m. to 4:30, you can go to vote at City Hall in Brooklyn Center. Then that Saturday, August 6th, you can go and vote at City Hall as well from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then the following Monday, August 8th, same thing, 8 a.m. to 4:30 at City Hall. But on the actual primary date itself, which is August 9th, you do have to go to your precinct. And so you can just look up that information online. And so the most important thing is to just vote, 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 vote. You can't wish well for me in your heart. You have to get up out of your chair, and you have to exercise your right to vote. So thank you very much for the platform. Thank you to all the viewers for listening to each of our different views here tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cole.
Thank you very much, Cole, for that. Cyrus, your microphone is muted.
Yeah, so take it on, Nathan, as we wrap it up. Thanks to Cole, thanks to Kamati, thanks to Reverend Waller, also Councilman Russell and Mayor Elliott, who left early. They had to keep running on with different meetings, different door knockings, and all of that, Cole. So we hope that we can catch you around just before the end of this entire thing to make sure we can push your candidacy as well as your your other colleagues. And we say thanks to our community leaders who also came on. Reverend Warner, Kamati, any final message? We wrap it up quickly.
I'll let Warren Waller go this time.
Well, to all of our pastors who have their churches in the city of Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, this is the time. Sunday, the 7th of August is the time to also make announcements finally, and to make sure that we have announcement going throughout the week. Let's send text out. If you see any summary flyer coming out, it is a promote a flyer coming out to make sure that you go and vote. Make sure you pass it on to whoever you know in the city. You may see a photo of Cole or Mark Elliott or Councilman Russell telling you to go vote for them. Please make sure you forward it to Liberians that you know, and we'll make sure that they get into the hands of everyone. In addition to door knocking, we'll knock doors and also knock the cell phone. So let us make sure that we get everyone going to go and vote past us.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Kamati, quickly.
So to piggyback on what Pastor Reverend Waller said is this. We are in the West African community in the Brooklyns. We are huge. Every vote counts. That vote that is not counted, that vote that you did not cast, will harm the rest of your community. Don't be complacent, say they will win. Go and vote. Share the message. One vote can impact a person's life, a community life, a country life forever. It just takes one vote to make a difference. Go and exercise the right that people die for you, share blood for you for, and is given to you on silver platter. Use it. It's your right. Go and vote. One community, 3 candidates.
All right, so we said thanks to all of you for leaving your busy schedules and joining us this evening, and we hope to see you guys around very soon, door knocking and promoting our candidates in our communities. Go have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for the platform.
All right. Okay, Nathan, you have it right there with our candidates, our community leaders coming out this evening, leaving their busy schedules to join us on this town hall. I think it went extremely, extremely well.
Yes, Cyrus. I tell you, leadership, having representation at the highest level, the decision-making body of every community is very much important. Because in the house there, where people make that decision, is all about number, lobbying, right, for issues
Mhm.
to come through. There are thousands of issues. I have been watching a couple of the city council sittings, and and stuff like that. How they have to push their arguments, uh, you know, to
Sometimes
convince
there
the
are fights.
police. Yes, I mean
Sometimes there are fights.
politically.
If you get into some city council meetings nowadays, you see the police presence because anything can break up. Somebody wants something for his community that he represents. Somebody need for this to be pushed for her community. So it's a very important part because that's where all the major decisions that we see that affect those communities, either negatively or positively, that's where they are made. Like you said earlier on, if we don't, we are going to be at a point that we're going to be backing others to push our agenda when we have this opportunity that we can utilize to elect our own to these city councils, either for mayor or for city council members to push the agenda of our community at that level.
And yes, so I mean it's just for everyone. Though we are doing what double 12 hours, some people doing 10 hours. We just need to find that time because there is something I always tell people. It is not what you do, but how you do it and the impact. So if we just say, oh, we gotta do our 9 to 12 or our 10 hours or 12 hours, and we don't take 10 minutes or 5 minutes of our time to go and vote, the negative effect is going to have on us. So like Russell said, like Elliott said, like Cole said, they want to have some changes. You listen to Russell and Elliot, some of the changes they have brought to the Liberian community. The organization of Liberian Minnesota just attested to that, right? That they have received grants. And these are other programs that are benefiting Liberians. Apart from that, the other communities, you saw people from the Kenyan communities, you saw people from the Ghanaian communities. So it is holistic. It is, the development is cut across the entire immigrant community. It is not only about Liberians. They are not biased. They are looking at the immigrant communities. One thing I like about America is a land of opportunities, but you have to be prepared before you sit at that table. And at that table, you have to champion the plight of your people and not in other countries they say giving you some bribe. No, you got to champion the cause of the people from the passion from the passion you have of them. So elections is important. Nobody should overlook it. There is no small election. You saw Russell is on the field there. Ariel had to leave, having political meetings. You saw Cole. She too, she been having a couple of political meetings, knocking doors. So when they come to your homes, please tell a friend to tell a
Be
friend on that
welcoming.
relative. Some of us who are not U.S. citizens, right? You can still text a friend, hey man, please vote for my girl Cole. Hey man, please vote for Ross. Hey, please vote for Mike Elliott. So these are things that we can do. Even we in the media having our political discussion or having our platforms, that is, we can also start to spread that message. Because if we help these people, it's just like we have a saying: if you hold the rope will hold the
They
bush.
will hold the bush.
So
Whatever decision to make that affect the community positively, we're all going to tap into them and benefit. That's what That's where you on the other end, whether you're a citizen of the U.S. or not, that's where you get a benefit. So you have to work around and push these people so that together we can all have a wonderful, wonderful city council in our various cities. So thanks to you, Neto, and thanks to our viewers, those of you who've been watching and following. Thanks to you. We'll catch you around again, and it's good to be back on your screen. We're going to do this as often as we can on different topics, different issues. We're going to be bringing them to you as we move on. Nathan Charles is back into the Twin Cities. I'm right here as always. It's good to have you, my brother. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the week.
Yeah, and don't forget to always contact KMTV for all of your services, be it weddings, funerals, graduation, that issues you want to puff out to the society, and you want to discuss about, you want to sell your business. Call us, and we'd be glad to serve you.
Thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful Sunday evening.
It's Chai Keys on the beat.
Are y'all ready now? Skip it, bamba. Na 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 na. Oh na na. Yeah yeah. Oh na na. Yeah yeah yeah. Oh na na. Yeah yeah. Oh na na. Jehovah Obadu. Papa, you too good. Jehovah, you too good. Papa, you too kind. Miracle working God, give you all the praise, give you all the glory. You alone deserve it. You put my enemies under my feet. Because I have you, I face no defeat. Higher and higher, I give you the praise and I give you the honor because you're the king. You love me personally. See the testimony. You get the glory. You get the honor and everything. Yeah, you love me personally. See the testimony. You get the glory. You get the honor and everything. Oh, Babadu. Babadu. Papa, you too good. Jehovah, you too kind. See the things that you done. Papa, you too kind. Yeah.
The good things when you they do. You just tap on my hand, oh. Baba me, oh. For the many blessings you bless me, I cannot tell it all. I thank you. You love me personally. See the testimony. You get the glory, Lord. You know. You love me personal. Testimony. You get the glory, Lord. Yeah. Mama, you do right now. What an enemy you are. Mama, you do right. What can never call me up. Mama, you do right now. What an enemy you are. Mama, you do right. What can never call me up.
Are y'all ready now? See the testimony. You got the glory. You got the honor and everything. Yeah.
You love me personal. You love me personal. You get the glory, Lord. Hey, yeah.
Yeah, Obadu. Obadu.
Jehovah Obadu.
Yeah. Jehovah Obadu. Papa, you too kind.
You too good. Jehovah
entertainment, news, and business. And this is Kmtv. We are on your screen, we are everywhere. The best online Liberian platform you have. Make the best use of it. My name is Frank Adams, and I endorse this channel.